Bringing you the flavor of the Midlands. Live from Columbia, this is Soda City Live.
Welcome back, everyone, to Soda City Live. It may be getting close to time for your annual doctor's visit. It is January, and you may be one of those people who says, you know what, who do I need to see this year? Well, how do you ensure that you are getting the most of your appointment, and how do you know if you are asking the right questions? Why not ask a doctor? Joining me today is board-certified colorectal and general surgeon, Dr. Cedric McFadden. So glad to have you with us today.
Great to be here.
People love, because they need good, solid medical advice. So let's start with, doctor, when should a person go? Obviously, if they're sick and having symptoms, but should people just go for an annual no matter what, and at what age?
Yeah, so I like for any patient to see a doctor at least once a year, right? Because I think it's a great way, number one, to build the relationship with your doctor, but also to catch the problems before they get worse, because it's easier to take care of something if you find it sooner than later. And often, just through a routine checkup, you can get routine blood work or routine physical exam that may find problems that are looming.
And what doctor do we go to? Do we go to a general practitioner, or do you go to an internist? Do you need to go to a specialist? Do you go to that general practitioner first to be, you know, sent somewhere else?
Yeah, it's great to have a general practitioner, kind of a family doctor, internal medicine, kind of your primary, your go-to, because they're going to help you figure out where you need to go if new problems arise. So if there's a specialist that they think you need to see, they're going to refer you to that specialist. But it's great to have that general practitioner on board, because they're going to help you navigate through the waters that can be very confusing.
I'm sure you see so many different kinds of patients, the ones who break a fingernail and come running to you, doctor, I have a problem, to those who ignore symptoms when there really is something serious there. Who needs to be coming, and what questions would you prefer they ask?
Well, I think anytime you have concerns, I'm a big believer in checking and finding out more, right? Because things often seem smaller and they can grow over time. So if you feel like you have a problem, and say, I like the 3-day rule, right? Give yourself 3 days to determine if something's getting worse, right? So you wake up with a bellyache, maybe not get concerned day 1, maybe not day 2, but day 3, day 4, if it's continuing, if there's a change in what you're used to, then we got to sort it out, right? We got to find out the information. And, you know, the questions that you need to ask, especially if you have a new problem, you know, what may this be telling us? Are there tests that we need to be doing? And doctors love it when you bring those types of questions to them.
Do they like if you actually bring a
I do. I do.
Do you really?
Because think about it, when you're there, your time with your doctor is very limited, right?
True.
And you can sometimes forget the things that you're going to want to ask. And so having a list of those things, having a list of those symptoms that you've had, the medications that you've taken, all that's going to be helpful to make sure that you're in the moment, taking the most advantage of that time.
Yes, and it is important, I think, for patients to take the list of medications, because that helps you know, obviously, that something could be connected to the issue they have.
And also, it prevents redundancy, right? I don't want to give you something that you're already taking.
Right.
And people say, well, I think I'm taking something, I'm not sure. So that's going to save a step for when you get home to have to call back and say, oh, well, I looked, I'm already taking this, what else? So that's just one less thing you're going to have to do.
And what should we do after the visit if new questions arise?
Well, hopefully you have your list, so you're going to have those answered. But if you leave, like most people do, you get in the car and you say, I meant to ask X. I think, number one, ask, where do I send my questions? Do I send them through an email? Is there a phone number I can call, or is there an online portal that I need to access? And then find out, what's the turnaround time for your office? Are they going to call me back within 2 days, 1 day, et cetera? And if you don't get a response back, don't be offended. Call back and say, I'm just waiting for a response. Really be proactive about your health at all times.
Excellent. Your specialty in the colorectal area is one that really has been in the headlines a lot the last few years, because we, you know, for years kept telling our viewers, doctors say, go when you're 50 years old. When you hit 50, you go get that colonoscopy. That age has gone down now. Talk about that.
So that age went down to 45. In 2017, there were some adjustments to that, because we're seeing so many younger people with colorectal cancer and advanced cases of colorectal cancer. So the age went down to 45. Now, it's been 45 for years for African Americans, because have higher risk of getting and higher risk of dying from colorectal cancer. But now for everybody, it's 45, and regardless of your age, if you have symptoms, you need to be tested. So even if you're 30 and you're having symptoms, get tested.
Good advice. Why are we seeing so many more cases now?
Magic question, right?
Yeah.
It's a combination of things, right? It's a combination of, people say, our diets, people say our environment. There's been a lot of research on the microbiome, or the biology, or the bacteria that live in our guts that may influence. It's a combination of all of those things, and ultimately that's where the research is sitting now. But what we do know is that younger people are getting colorectal cancer. It's not just a disease of older people. Any age can be diagnosed with colorectal cancer, as young as the 20s.
And I'm going to let you have this opportunity to remind people that if you do the colonoscopy and you find a polyp, you can take that out, and colon cancer is preventable.
Yes, it is one of the few cancers that are preventable. And the exciting thing about colonoscopy is, if you've ever had one, you realize it's one of the best naps you'll have.
It really is. That propofol.
It is a great nap. You wake up wondering when we're going to start, and we're finished.
Right.
So it really is an easy test that can do wonders for not only finding a pre-cancer, something that could turn into cancer, or something that's already an early stage cancer. We can see it, biopsy it, and there are a lot of different options that I'm sure we can talk about at some time of how we can check and test for colorectal cancer. But colonoscopy is certainly the way that really can do a lot of good.
Before I lose you here, I want to ask you one quick question about probiotics, because you mentioned the microbiome and all of that. Should we be taking a probiotic every day, or is that just kind of another marketing,
Well, there are definitely patients that I think it makes a big difference to use. And I say, before starting any medication, talk with your doctor to make sure it's right for you, right? But there is some benefit to probiotics, and I think it can help regulate. We talk about conversations about IBS and bloating and abdominal discomfort and just really overall GI health. It's a great tool for many patients. But before you talk about taking any medications, talk with your doctor first.
Are you going to say the same thing if I ask you about vitamins? Because it's like, I wonder, because I have so many medical experts that say you can get all the vitamins you need from good food.
I think, again, in some patients, it's necessary, right? Depending on your own surgical history, on medical history, there may be deficiencies that you will have and that you do need to supplement for. So again, talk with your doctor, but still not always a bad thing.
A joy to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Dr. Cedric McFadden, thank you so much. Appreciate you. More Soda City Live right after this.